All right, good morning traders, and welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and this is the live analysis we do Monday, Tuesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Wednesday, Thursdays we have live trading, and this is the live from Jay Trader, stocks trader on Wednesday, and Scott Pulsini, futures trader on Thursday. It's the complete package here, or goes through what you get here. So we have an educational course. It's online. It's on our YouTube channel. You can find it. You can get yourself educated on order flow, how to read order flow, what Bookmap is showing you, how to read Bookmap, understand how these markets work. And then we have the live analysis here to go through all of that in the live environment so that you can put it to the test and read it. And then we have different traders, Jay Trader, Scott. We have, after this event, we have Tom B, a volume profile trader. So they're looking at their specific way of trading. So you have that resource as well, plus the Discord community to ask questions. We have other events. In fact, we have an event this afternoon. Let me just show you here in the YouTube channel. Okay, you'll see it here. It's on the Bitcoin trading competition. If you're interested in this, this will be at 2 p.m. East Coast time this afternoon. So we have Tom's event and then this event here, so that you can join the competition. You can win $3,000 if you win the competition. So it is, I'll go through all the details how to get set up. Is for Bitcoin futures with Tradeovate, yeah, come to the event and learn all about it and get signed up. There's a cutoff on Sunday night at midnight. All right, so if you're interested in that, we'll go through the details. All right, so let's go through the risk disclosure and jump right into the S&P E-mini. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, let's jump in then, okay, to this S&P. All right, we've made it to the 40-50 level here in the S&P, and we're going to continue, it looks like. Let's see if we can get up to the 100 level. All right, we're just going to go through the process in here on how to read the order flow. All right, so the understanding of who's in control and who's moving the market in specific areas. So we see buyers just move the market. Where did they move it to? High liquidity here at 50, okay, at 40.50. So the 40.50 has been in the order book since the entire, looks like the entire overnight session. If the buyers want to meet the sellers, this is where it is. The transaction's already happened, right? So now what happens after that? Well, do we still have buying pressure? Looks like it. So let's see if we can get up to 55 and maybe even higher. Right, so still looking for buyers here, green dots, market buy orders, lifting the offer up into higher areas. Okay, what about the bid? Well, they're down here at 47. If we get enough sellers in here, maybe we can get down below the swing, down below this little breakout here in this area around 47, and then maybe they can bring it back to point of control or VWAP down in these areas here. So yeah, we're just looking to see who's going to take control, and right now it's buyer. Right now it's buyers. Okay, you can see all the activity in here. Look at this player in here moving his liquidity from this 49 here on right up to this 54.5 area here. All right, so this is an algo, and they're kind of decided that they don't want to get filled here any longer, and they move their liquidity up to a higher level. In fact, our large lot tracker can show that here. It's probably around 250 contracts or so. One individual actor, this little white line displays that. Okay, and we can understand the behavior of some of these different players in the market here. So in fact, they even moved it up from that 54 on up to about 57 or so. Same player, you can see his activity. Okay, so anyway, we'll just start off with that and continue on until we see something different. So we're still finding more buyers. Now, there are a few kind of caveats in here. Just, you know, we know the buyers are in control, but it's not really complete control. So for example, see how dark it is in here? See how the sellers can move price very quickly back down to maybe this liquidity here at 50, right? So because there's not a whole lot of liquidity in here right now. So this is what brings on kind of volatility, or you know, these moves back and forth within a range. And explore the outer ranges here to see if it accepts or rejects. If it accepts, it's going to trade higher, for example. All right, so anyway, just going over some basics in here. And let me know if you have any questions. I want to take a look at the bigger picture here. And this is the daily chart over here on the left. I don't have a lot of candles in here because Rhythmic blew out the data there with one of the candles. So anyway, we're above the swing here in this candle. So and we see the buying pressure in here for the day. The hourly chart, well, here's the gap up above this area here on the overnight and the continuation here. So strong move. Here's the 15-minute chart over here on the right, and we see the strong move continuing. Right, so let's take a look at where this might go. All right, so we can add more data in here. Uh, 500 bars. No, that's not it. 1 week look back. Yeah, we want to look at 3 months or so. Okay, so here we go. And this is that 100 area up here. Let's just make this a little bit bigger on the hourly. So you know, we can see that move back up into this maybe 84 on up to about 100, 110, even 120 is up here. And this is where we saw that kind of pullback and then steep drop from last week or some time ago here. And now we're getting the pullback, you know, within that steep drop here. So I also like this little area here. We see the there's kind of a little ledge in here around 60, 40, 60. So that's where we're headed right now, it looks like, to try to get up into that area. So we're just looking at because higher time frames, who's in control and who's moving the market right now. And we can see that although we have this big drop from on the hourly chart here, we're seeing this pretty strong move back up into these areas in here. All right, so and we just look for that continuation until we see something different, and that's what we're reading in here in Bookmap, is that continuation. All right, so let's go through our exercise in here. No sound on Discord. You guys should have sound. No, I'm looking at it. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Yeah, okay. Everything seems to be working. All right, so don't know what to tell you, but confirm from Pro K, Ricky R, and JC. Okay, so and I know also it's working here in YouTube. All right, so anyway, last several sessions, to be honest, we've been looking at price structure a lot. I think it's been helpful to go over you know, higher highs, higher lows, who's in control in some of these areas. I mean, we can just basically take a step back here in Bookmap, and let's just take off the volume. Let's take off the heat map. We'll also take off the VWAP and the point of control in here for now. and just want to look at price action. Oops. So best bid and offer, and we'll take off volume. All right, so just looking at the price action with streaming best bid and offer, and we can see that yeah, we're making higher highs. We here just before or at 9:30 we had this volatility and back and forth here, but we can see who won that battle here. All right, it's a breakout to the upside, and it's a continuation pattern here. We see the move up, all sorts of back and forth for several hours, and then now the break of that up into 50. All right, so what we want to understand now in some of these moves, who's in control, who's moving the market, and ascertain that, and we can look for continuation patterns or rejection patterns and maybe move back into the range, right back into point of control here. There's a big point of control here, as you can see, around this 36 level. So let's zoom in here a little bit, and then now let's look at the volume dots and volume bars, and then let's take a look at who's moving this market. Well, this is where you get that context. Okay, so here, in terms of the structure, we know the structure. Okay, the structure is here. There's always, these markets are fractal. There's structure within structure, and then we can see that we're breaking and creating a new one up here. All right, this is where you can look into your measured moves, all that kind of stuff as well. It makes good sense to understand that, like a half move or a full move, based on the structure in here, and you know, talk about true ranges, as well as where stops are, and where people think it might be overvalued, and you'll see these measured moves. That's why they work, I feel, but nonetheless, do your own studies on that one if you like measured moves, and that kind of leads to fibs. I'm not a fan of the fibs whatsoever, but I do like looking at some of these moves, because that's where we're going to see a lot of traders get stopped out in certain areas, as well as pullbacks to tops of ranges or bottoms of ranges. So anyway, what we're looking at in here is the context of the volume within the structure, and this is where it gets easier. We'll make it simple. Okay, so who's in control? Well, clearly buyers in here. Look at the buyers. Clearly buyers in here. All sorts of back and forth. Here's some selling coming in, but it's not much, right? So in here, again, buyers moving that market. In here as well, it's come down and is tested into this little area multiple times, but we still find buyers, and they're basically making slightly higher highs or equal highs in here. Cash open, it's a mess. Okay? A mess trying to determine who's in control in here. Here's where we see it though, clearly, right? Now let's look at that area in here. Okay, there's a lot of selling up here now too, right? So that's kind of muddying the water here, and we need to see more buyers back up, and they need to take control above this kind of 52.5 area for the continuation higher, if we get that. Right, so we can look for pullbacks in these areas in here, and this is again where Bookmap can be really helpful. All right, let's turn the heat map on. Okay, and look where they might be on the bid. Okay, and then we'll also look at areas in here. See where they broke out from here, and we can look for pullbacks to those areas, or where there's structure in here and there's pullbacks to these areas. See the sellers come in, and the sellers come in again down to that area here. Now we're getting our buyers. Okay, now we're up at our 52.5. Look at the buying up here though. Okay, what's the context of this buying up here? Okay, not so much. We need to see a lot more than that if they're going to move this higher. Okay, now all they've done is basically, you know, traders have moved it to the top of the range. Okay, now we're looking to see if the buying does pick up, and this is where we look at again the context in here. And let's just zoom in a bit more. This is where they broke out from, this smaller structure. Okay, and you can even look at this fractal move here, from here on up to top of this range, okay, which would be about here, and we're just about there. All right, so now Are we going to get more buyers and try to break out from it? Well, this is where we again look at the context in here. What's the bid look like? Is the bid supporting this here? And we're getting our buyers. They're coming in, and they're moving this higher. Okay, so immediately sellers come right back in. Let's see if they can hit maybe the top of our structure here on a pullback. Okay, and then we're going to look and see if this is a false breakout as well. And then where do we think the sellers, if they want to move this back down? Well, we can look at our high volume nodes, but we also look at these little structural areas in here. So this is a good one right here, around 51. And we'd be looking to see if sellers can reach back down into that area. Okay, we need to see quite a bit of selling. Okay, and I don't really see anything too clear here at the moment. I mean, this is nice. I'm surprised that it went up as high as it did here, to be honest. I thought we'd probably come up to about here, maybe break it and then reverse back down. It broke it by quite a bit, and now it's breaking back down into the range here. Okay, let's look again for sellers in here. Look at where the buyers are lining up in the bid down here, and that would be around 40.50, back to the 40.50 number here. Okay, now so you can see this is not a trade recommendation room, but you can see how we're reading the order flow here, and we're looking for some of these scenarios to unfold, and it is relating to or kind of what's the right word? We're alluding to many different possible trading strategies in here. Okay, this would be your mean reversion trade. Okay, back to this kind of point of control or the figure right here. It's already done it. Okay, and we already talked about that. Look at them take it even further, back down to the bottom of this range here. All right, let's zoom out again. All right, so quite a bit of selling now, quite a bit. All right, so they are now in control from this point onwards. Maybe you can go from this point here, but I would say about this point onwards, look at where they came in. Okay, we also can look at the order book here, but this is what we want to look at. All right, so now if we're looking for pullbacks on the buy side, we're looking for low volume pullbacks, maybe into this area here. Okay, or maybe all the way back up. Maybe it pulls back all the way to 55. Okay, this is a pretty good little zone in here. Okay, we can zoom in a little bit further, get a better understanding, see where they came in here and took control. It's already been tested, okay, but it failed. Yeah, I would be looking for a deeper pullback on this, maybe up to about this. Yeah, this is a little sloppy in here. Maybe back up into here. Engulfing on a 5-minute. Okay. Floyd. Good morning, Levi. Good morning, Paolo. Paolo, do you have sound now? You should. Okay, Daniel, you didn't like the opening there. All right, understood. Well, what do you suggest? And I'd be happy to do that. I needed to mention that creating competition. That was the only thing. We basically there's new people in here, so that's why I go through the education and what we're doing in here in general, the goal. Okay, so now we get our pullback up to here. All right, so now I need to see sellers come in again. Okay, if that's going to be a pullback here. It is a low volume pullback. Look at the selling compared to the buying. Okay, look at the size of the dots. We can even measure this in here as well. We put this within, we can use the order book imbalance or volume imbalance here, and we can put this within the chart range here. And we can go from here onto the current market. Right, so and look at the volume imbalance in here. Okay, so there's negative 8%. That's there's more selling than buying. Okay, let's see those sellers come in, and let's see it, sellers. Let's see it. I don't see them at all. Okay, so nothing clear at all right now. But let's see if they can do it, and then this would be the first error, right back down to this liquidity right here in the book at 50. The opening. Okay, Daniel. I misunderstood. The opening of the market was rank. Yeah, it certainly was. Absolutely. Okay, Paulo, you got your sound, guys. Sorry about that. I'm missing it here. This is what we're kind of looking for, and the move. At least back down to here, point of control at the 50. These guys pulled here, so this is still kind of rank, to be honest, Daniel. But these are hard. I mean, the clarity is now really simple, right, in hindsight. But we were reading this here in the market, and we just didn't get much out of it. Out of this read here, we were looking for this scenario. Hold on a minute here. What's going on? It's kind of hard to pull this around. Oh, this is okay. I'm in that. All right, never mind. All right, so we're trying to read this scenario in here. We knew what we were looking for around this zone and looking for our sellers. And then look at the order book in here. It's just horrible. We're not getting any insight. I mean, previously we saw like these guys coming in right around here, around 50-ish. The order book isn't telling us much. The aggressor is not telling us much. Okay, the only insight that we got, we're looking for this, like what JTrader says, is this curling. Okay, now this you have to be really kind of zoomed in here, and you can read it though. But again, the order book is not helping here, but the aggressors and the structure is. Okay, we have buyers here, buyers here. No buying or very little buying, no selling here, so no insight here at that point yet. Okay, now if we get our sellers down below in here in these areas around 52, okay, which we do, okay, we're looking for them to maybe move it back down to here, top of this range here, where this broke out from, maybe further, point of control 50. Okay, and they do really quickly. Now again, like that would be the scenario we're looking for, and it's purely aggressor in here that made that move happen. All right, now there is another thing to look for in here, and this is where we came up with the whole scenario to begin with, was this structure over here. Okay, well, let me zoom out again, and let's take a look at it here. Okay, so we have the buyers come in. We're looking for that potential false breakdown. It did, and then it went quite a bit higher than we initially kind of thought, but the sellers came in pretty strong. This was our pullback, okay, and we outlined little areas for the pullback, and then the sellers came in. Just you'd have to really kind of be paying close attention for that one, and you don't have the heat map in here helping out. Right, so again, like the liquidity is really at the edges here, 45, 58, 59 up here, etc. We did recognize the sellers taking control, and then we did recognize this as a pullback. It's just the read in here was challenging. Okay, now we actually got another pullback in here. Sellers again, pullback. Okay, they didn't come up that high here. Well, they came up pretty high, a little bit above this little area where they broke down from, but not up to here. We were just covering. And then again, nothing from the heat map in here. It's just we're talking purely about volume. There's more sellers here than there is buyers, and they're not making a higher high. Again, look for the sellers to rotate back in, and that doesn't really happen. I mean, you can see it in here a bit, but it really kind of happens here. Okay, and once they get below these guys in here, and then we're looking for maybe a stop run down below 47. Okay, let's see, did it do that? And do we get stops? Yes. Okay, so anyway, we're going through it. Not the cleanest reads in here. Lack of liquidity, lack of heat map, but structure and volume. Right, so and we're going through the scenarios. It's just that would be a challenging one to look for or take. Okay, let me dig into some of these questions. The Chicago Opium Project. Good morning. What was the steps to start learning deeper about Bookmap? Okay, well, the educational course would be yeah, rollover chop is another good one, George. That is true. Oh, there we go. Educational course right there in YouTube. You can see it. There's a link to it. And there's 4 different videos in that educational course. We can cover some of it right now because we're not really seeing a whole lot right now. So we can zoom in further and take a look at that. But some of that course content. Right, and it's really digging into the market mechanics, is to understand how the markets work, and this is the fundamental. Okay, so the link does take you to the course here, the 4 parts, and if you're new to Bookmap, even if you are a veteran trader, I would still recommend parts 1 and 2 at least, especially part 1. Let me just show you it here. You can see, like, we go through a couple diagrams in here about understanding market mechanics and what's making the market move here. And we have the aggressors in here moving the market, but we have an influence from the contracts in the order book, and it makes a big difference in here. The market is made up of orders. It is the behavior of the participants using their orders that influence price. Okay, the heaviest influence would be from the aggressors, because they take liquidity and they can actually move it to another level. All right, but the order book here in the passive orders, they can stop price from moving and just continue to throw more orders on top here and absorb as much as the market can give them, and you'll see that happen. Anyway, let's go through some examples in here. We're just look at the volatility in here. I mean, just the bashing around in here. Again, like we just don't see any kind of commitment in the order book in here, except for here at 45, which it came down and tested close to it at least. It actually traded at 45, 1 contract at 45. And then here's the move back up to this top of the range here. But the liquidity, there's a little bit at 55, but they're really up here. Right? So, and we're just kind of really bashing around within this range in here. Okay, here we saw the sellers take control here. Look where they got tested. Okay, almost there, a little bit higher here, 55. All right, well, anyway, the market's getting kind of wound up for a bigger move, most likely here. And we do know from the bigger picture in here, at least from the day, buyers are in control still. And we see sellers in this time frame, smaller time frame here, them taking control. Okay, this is where we need to see on the bigger picture. This is where they need to be upended, is above this 55 level. All right, and look at the buyers coming in. They're going to go for it here. Here we go. All right, let's see now what other kind of clues do we have. So we know the scenario here. Buyers moving it away from this zone in here, back up to here 58.5. Okay, so the scenario would be large green dots, and then we would want to see actually the opposite of this, not sellers on the offer here. See how they influence price? And we got sellers. The reaction to this liquidity was sellers. Okay, so maybe they can come back down to here. Okay, it's the order book that gave us that insight though. We were looking previously before that order book in here. I wanted to see actually them flip from the offer to the bid to support it, get more buyers in up here, and then move on up to the top of the range here where that liquidity is, or top of the liquidity zone. And that was totally upended here by these sellers, and we have large lot tracker in here that shows us larger players doing that. Interesting stuff in here. Okay, it's getting ready. Okay, again, sellers, okay, it looks like they're going to go for the bottom of the range again, or I'm sorry, 50 here. You can see how these are fractal, these markets. Same concepts, same ideas here, just on smaller time frames. Okay, we can really zoom in. We're looking at a small time frame in here, but we'll look at microstructure in just a second. So here's the this move here, and then see how that maybe we can get sellers and upend that move. They're already above it here, right? So back up into here, this liquidity here. Okay, if they don't, and we see exhaustion here, and what if we get sellers down here? Okay, then we're looking for, and this is a low volume pullback, then we'd be looking for a move right back down here to 51.5. Okay, most likely, maybe lower. Okay, let's see it, sellers. Let's see if you can come in here. It's starting to auction a little bit, and buyers on the other side. Okay, so they're going for 55. Okay, great. Do they have enough here? Looks like they have enough. Let's zoom out a bit more. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'd be looking for these buyers. If nothing else happens in the order book that disrupts this, just by the aggressors here, looking for, yeah, up here around 58, 59, maybe 60. And now again, this is not a trade recommendation. Plus, we don't have the order book really on our side here. Okay, we're just looking at the aggressor right now. Let's go through also some measured moves in here, because we get all these false breakouts and breakdowns in here. So here, buyers trying to take control, but they'll get upended and we can come right back down in here. And let's just kind of let me get rid of all of these rectangles. All right, so this move here, okay, could, if this fails, then we'd be coming back down into here, and that would be kind of, we're talking about measured moves in here, and we haven't really talked too much about that before, but it's based on the structure. That's why, you know, the measured move would be, you get these pullbacks to where it broke out from, like that. And then here are our buyers again up at the top, and they're breaking it. They're starting to break it here. I just don't like it. I mean, it's still dark underneath here, so, you know, sellers can bring it right back down here again. So no one's really, what I'm basically getting at here is no one's firmly in control in these areas. Okay, we can go through all these different scenarios in here. We can look at very small time frames in here, okay? But we don't really see someone firmly in control. Okay, see how it's auctioning. Let's see if we get buyers up here. Let's see if we can auction up here. Okay, there we go. They should be able to move it higher now. Okay, now what the problem is see how you get sellers, they can bring it back down here. Then this is the trap. This is the trap, and this is the washout, and here is the stop run. Okay, and where did it go? Okay, back down to the swing. Let's see if they can go lower, actually. Back down to 54. Okay, there's your false breakout, and we're looking at it and kind of pulling for those buyers in here for sure, right in here. And then the trap was set. a little bit of selling here, but really it's down kind of at the bottom of the range in here, and that's where they pushed it through here. Okay, and once they've gone through that, once sellers go through that, it's pretty easy, or it's easier to get back down to the bottom of the ranges. Okay, so yeah, that's why we look at these traps all the time. We talked about it last week or Monday or Tuesday. And look at the move right back up again. Again, aggressor is just all over the place here. Moving it down, moving it back up. Yeah, Floyd, the measured move of 55 was a bounce from the low. Okay. Yeah, the one thing, the measured moves, I kind of shudder a little bit, or just be careful with them. And it's really kind of, I mean, the market doesn't care about measured moves. I mean, they happen because of the stops and the other players. But just firm up your trading strategy on that. It's so attractive. That's why fibs are so attractive. It's like, oh, look, it hit my fib level. Great. You know, I'm looking for the opposite, the retracement or whatever. Oh, it hit that level. I mean, yeah, and it's going to hit one of those fib levels, but you know, it's due to what's going on in here in the order flow that matters. The fib level really doesn't matter. It's the orders. This is pretty classic stuff of the false breakout, breakdown, and then comes right back up and then does break out. You know, everyone gets kind of stopped out. Market moves back up, and you get buyers again taking it higher. Look at this guy in here at 57.5. Let's zoom in and let's go through this exercise. Okay, so here, high liquidity here, one player, large lot tracker, also here. And what do we get enough buyers up into it? Nope. Sellers, do we get sellers at the bottom of the range? Not much. Okay, so buyers are interested. They're coming after this liquidity here. If they can auction here, they should be able to trade into it. All right, let's see it, buyers. You should be able to trade into it. There we go. Okay, now, just because this is on the lower time frame, this is our event here. Okay, they traded into it. Right now, what after the event, what has happened? Okay, do we get buyers above it? No. Boy, even in a smaller time frame, we're just not seeing much here. Lack of buying. Okay, now let's see if we get buyers in here. There we go. All right, now buyers, let's see if we can move it right back up to 57.5 and then maybe 58. And I can't speak fast enough. They immediately drop it, but we are right back up here again. And let's see if we can do it again. Let's see it, buyers. This is your chance. There's the auction. And let's see the move back up. 57, 58, 57 3/4, 58. Again, not much in the order book in here. Not much at all. So that's why we're kind of looking at these small, much smaller time frames to understand auctions better. And traps. Rollover activity is very difficult. I know a lot of traders, they just don't even trade during that time. Let's take a quick look at it. It's easy enough. Okay, there's our move back up here. Let's zoom out, also higher time frame. Let's take a look at it. Okay, do we have the means for buyers trying to lift this into 60? Yeah, definitely we do. I mean, look at the buying in here, right? So here's it's already unfolded. Let's see if they can get higher, 62.5 up to here. It's pretty strong buying. So want to see him move it higher. Okay, the bid is supporting it now here. That's good. Okay, do we still get buyers? And then we're looking for a 62. Let's zoom out. Now this can lead, now see the buying coming in the bigger picture here? Well, this could lead to a bigger move on up to higher liquidity. It's up here around 73-ish, 72.5. Okay, and then let's take a look at our rollover as well. Okay, I just do this CME volume ES. That's it. Contract specs. And then we come in here. You can see the current month is September, but I don't know when this is new. They just put this in. I don't know when they're going to update it, if it's by open interest or by volume. But we can go on into the tab here, volume and open interest, and let's take a look, guys. It's working. It's still going higher here. I see some selling up here, but still looking for that higher liquidity. And then we'll scroll down a little bit here, and then let's look at here. We're gonna have to take away price action for a second here. All right, and then here's our September contract. We can look at the volume in here. We have the Globex, we have the December here, total volume. We're clearly still, we're doing pretty well in the U contract here, the September contract. Okay, so there's quite a bit here. I don't think we're close to rollover. It'll be next week. So look for it next week. So we're doing fine. Okay, more questions. Hold on a minute. Why do traders avoid rollover periods? T. Dunsey, because it's really, it can be really challenging to understand like who's trying to take control. The behavior of traders is different. Rolling from one contract to the other, exiting positions, entering positions. In other in the next quarter contract, and it can be really kind of hard to ascertain. You might want to look into some spread trading during those times. Is an option in Bookmap to get volume and book bars. Volume bars, it comes with Bookmap. You'll see it here under studies configuration right here. Order book bars. Pro-K, I know you. I mean, you're in here all the time, so I'm kind of, I don't know how to answer your question, because I'm assuming like the book order book bars. Oh, up here, is this what you're talking about? Okay, this is part of the Global Plus version. Okay, it's an add-on indicator. The volume, it's called the imbalance indicators, and it's under studies configuration here. Here's order book imbalance, and there's also volume imbalance here. Volume imbalance, there is no, it's just based off the chart range, and it's really simple. it's basically like CVD. Okay, it's going to give you an output here, but based on the chart range. So if I zoom in here into this area here, we're going to see a bunch of sellers, and we should have, yeah, negative 10, 11, whatever percent. So that's really easy read. The book is more complex. It has some filters in it, which is really nice. You can filter the number of levels for it to make the same calculation, buyers versus sellers, basically. And then you can do it by percentage. You could also do it by all available price levels here, and you'll get these different calculations, of course. So that's some nice filtering in here. You also have a half-life, like a kind of exponential weighted average here. The half-life would mean that it's making, let's say, for all price levels in here, but for the first 10, they will be twice as important compared to all of the rest. Okay, so basically half of the the 50% mark would be 10 levels. Right? So let's suppose we put in 20 levels here, just to make a simple example. Okay, so 20 price levels, but the first half will be here of 10 will be weighted twice as important compared to the next 10 of the 20 levels in the entire calculation. Right? So yeah, play around with it, and then you have sound alerts in here too, to look for imbalances. Okay, be careful with this, so you know that where your alerts are coming from. Guys, nice move here by the sellers, and they are taking control here, moving it back down to 58. Okay, we should get, I would assume they're going to get a bounce here, but some heavy selling in here. So at these points here, we assume because there was a lot of buying in here, we're going to get a bounce. All right, so a lot of times though, after some of these moves in here, it depends. You need to kind of look at the selling in here compared to the buying over here. A lot of times the heavy selling comes in here, it'll blaze right through this point. You will not get a bounce. But you can see the sellers in here. I mean, basically, again, look at the bars, look at the dots. This is like a low volume pullback in here again. Okay, so it's not. We always look for the bounce in here. It's even better, higher probability to look for the bounce in here if it's on less volume in here. Okay, that's always the case on low volume pullbacks. We've talked about them in the past many times over. Once price gets down here, though, it could be down here on low volume. If you don't get those buyers to come in, it doesn't take much for sellers to then use some size and push it through that area, and likely it will not come back then at that point. It depends. It really depends on the day and the traders. But if they push it through here, they'll take control of it, and this will be kind of the trap set. It would be a big one from 58 on up to 63.5 or so. Okay, so we hit our 62 liquidity here, and came up a little bit higher, and we're right back up again. All right, so let's get a feel for these sellers in here. It's not bad, but this this would be a low volume pullback for these buyers in here, right? Okay, let's see what happens, because if we get buyers back up above here, then we're going to 65. These guys will have to get stopped out, and this could be a good move either ways. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good move. All right, we can kind of duplicate this and then move it. Okay, and well, liquidity here is 65, and then up here 66, 67. Let's see it, buyers. Let's see if you can do it. I think they got it. At least halfway of this. And halfway would be right here, around 66. Let's get back into the guys. We're still, our job is to read the order flow in here regardless. We continue to move up here. And we see the buyers taking control in here, and it took a bit for that to unfold. And we see the pullback here is just this order book in here. I mean, we just don't see a lot of support, and this volume is just you get these kind of range bound to range bound moves in here. So like this is turning into a false breakout here, and then they'll try to stuff it right back down into here. 60 looks pretty good. Let me get back to some of the questions in here. Leishram, okay, so you're looking at the longer term buyers being in control. Yeah, I mean, like, boy, it depends on how far you want to go back. We could look at I think I've got it. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, we can look at this, like a monthly chart in here, right? I mean, monthly chart, we're still in an uptrend. I mean, it's just this is more like a pullback. See the little areas kind of sideways, and then the continuation, pull back to the same idea, same concepts, maybe top of the range down here as well. But and look where it moved back up into, even on the monthly chart. Okay, I mean, there's kind of a lot of kind of slop in here on the monthly, but you start to look at these ranges again in here and swings. So on the monthly chart up here, like 41.35 looks pretty good, somewhere around there. Anyway, point made on that. All right, buyers starting to curl back in. Let's see if they can reach back up to 63, 63 and a half, maybe 65. Again, just looking at this small little area in here. It's not much. It's really not much to look at. Just kind of going through the same process though. Okay, we can zoom in and go through that very low time frame. Okay, exhaustion. Let's see, do we get buyers up here? No. We got exhaustion up here. Let's see if we get sellers here. Then they should be able to move it back down. And they'd probably move it back down to, yeah, this would be the next area, 58. Okay, there's 58 and a half. Let's see 58. All right, let's see if we get our sellers again. Let's see it, sellers. There we go. And they're starting to auction down here. One more, and there we should get the move. Now we should get the move. Let's see it, sellers. No. That kind of turned into a trap, and now the buyers take it away. Well, we did get down to 58 and a quarter. All right, let me get back to questions. Stampede market. Yeah, it's really big swings in here. I mean, like if we've talked about it many times, like if you don't see, like, it's just not my style really, but for you range bound guys, you know, you can look for these pullbacks, try to go with the bigger picture, and then take it back up into, well, I would probably take it at least back up to here, see if we can get more buyers in here, and then take it back up further. Okay, so and this, all of this in here is really kind of sloppy to take a look at. That's why we're zooming in. Okay, let's see here. All right, buyers back up. Okay, back to the top of this little range. And let's see if they can auction out again up here around 60 and a quarter. Okay, it's setting up nicely. Low volume pullback, buyers, and let's see it break on up to maybe 61 or 62. No. Okay, another retracement. Looks good. Okay, on the smaller time frame, yeah, I mean, I'd be looking for buyers to try to take this higher. And that idea is losing steam right now with sellers down here. And exhaustion there. Okay, a little bit of help here in the order book. That's what we like to see. Okay, so that helps, and the reaction is some buying. So let's see if they can move it back up now, maybe 62. See how that helps so much more? We get this kind of understanding and help from the order book in here. We haven't seen that much. When we put those pieces together of this kind of assistance here in the order book, and then looking for that auction up here, that's when, you know, they're easier reads back up into like 62 right now, right? So on this smaller time frame, you know, well, let's just zoom out here, because it's kind of working for a bigger time frame too. But yeah, you know, you can take some off, get risk neutral at that point, move your stop. Guys, we have a new break even indicator as well. I think it's in beta, but I'll be demoing it next week. It's pretty great though, so that you can get your risk, you know, scale out, and then look for the continuation, or hold your winner, but you'll know exactly where your break even is on the overall position. I think it's included in, yeah, it's included in Global Plus. Assistance in the order book, Asante, is like what we saw in here. This is what we've been kind of lacking today, was that you see them, they're on the bid here, It's not a whole lot. It's not like red or orange, but they're on the bid here, and we see how it's dark around price in here. This is all aggressors in here. Here we see a distinction. See how they're bidding underneath here. Now, just because they're bidding doesn't mean anything. It's in combination with the price structure and the support of this breakout. We see buyers come in. Okay, great. So we're looking for it to trade to previous swings or other areas, maybe high liquidity in other structures over here. Okay, so in this case, that's what it did. In fact, it even pulled back, and they're still here supporting it in the order book on the bid. Okay, in the heat map here. Okay, so I hope that's clear. This is I feel this offers you a really, really nice edge when you put those two together. Yeah. Now, you know, how long do they stay? Do they pull? There's all sorts of things that can happen in here. In this case, this worked out really pretty nicely for that move, a small move. But sometimes it's all sorts of treacherous stuff. Maybe you get some of this, then these guys pull here, and price comes down a little bit, and they just slam on the offer. And then you'll see the aggressors come in, and they'll move it below that area on down into lower liquidity. We really need to be attentive to all of that, because look what price is doing now, right? So yeah, okay, it got up. We'd get risk neutral, back up into some of these swings, and then look at the sellers. Here's where they came in and slammed it back down. Okay, and then this was that area we were just looking at. This is where again, like, we can read these areas and traps and understand the order flow around these areas in here. Okay, above this area, and look at where the sellers come in. Okay, they came in here, true to the bot to move it to the bottom of the range. They auctioned here, and then they moved it back down here. Okay, you'll see that this area here is the pivot. This is the area at 60.5 we really want to watch, which happened to be where these guys were supporting it kind of previously. Okay, does that make sense? I mean, we're getting into a little more kind of detail in here, but it's really no different than what we were talking about in some of these other areas on the higher time frame as well, about traps, breakdowns, breakouts, etc. So now sellers are moving it. Okay, look at the selling pickup. Okay, from about here on, even up here on. Simon, yeah, we can take a look at NQ as well. Let me get to some of these more of these questions here in YouTube. PD Legend. Look, I mean, this isn't your typical charting platform. I would recommend that, or encourage you, just go through our education part 1. Start with part 1 because we're going through a lot of stuff in here in these advanced webinars, and I can understand why it may be confusing, but this is just truly how the markets move. It's the influence of these orders in here, and it's traders' behavior that moves the market. So what we usually say is like, well, stick with your trading strategy, whatever it might be. Let's suppose that you look at candles, for example. Like a 5-minute candlestick chart or something. And let's dim the heat map a little bit. Okay, well, try to look for order flow within here, within the 5-minute periods, to give you some insight here. So here it makes pretty good sense. Even on this candle, it came back up to the top where there were sellers previously, okay, with the wick, Sellers come in, they push it down, and we go below this these wicks down here, and then now we've pulled back to basically kind of middle of the range here, and we're seeing sellers come in. All right, so great. All right, so I'm looking for sellers now to try to move it back down to bottom of the range. Okay, so look at the candle in here. The candle is not really telling us much either today. Look at this one here. It ended red, but it's these sellers in here. This is what we want to look at, right? And these sellers in here, over here, that made up the body here. So we're looking for sellers again here right now, 58, and then the drop to 55. Okay, just by reading candles, okay, we're looking for that to unfold. Okay, this is how understanding the order flow in Bookmap is going to help. Right, so stick with whatever you're trading, but then look at order flow to confirm a lot of your ideas. Okay, and I think you'll look at much higher probability in your trading when you start to see that, because otherwise, if you don't have this, this is what you're looking at. You have volume bars, but you don't have the dots, and you don't have the heat map, and you don't even have best bid and offer. You're just looking at these candles, and you're trying to make decisions. Boy, I mean, there's a lot lacking in here. A lot. I think it's very challenging to kind of read this in here, and you're just kind of, it's a shot in the dark. In fact, what we usually say is look, just soak it up in Bookmap in the educational course. Forget all of your trading strategies to begin with, and just understand what moves price, like we're showing in here on these very small time frames, kind of second and sub-second levels, and then or multiple seconds in here. What's moving price, and understand these elements in here, that the orders that move price, and then once you understand this, you can bring in your trading strategies. And this is kind of a different education. Okay, so we see our sellers. We already had our retest here, and we found buyers down here. Okay, kind of down, but where we found them again here earlier. Okay, but there's still more selling in here than there is buying, right? And we made a lower high here. I'm still looking for sellers to drop it into 55, and then maybe they can even drop it back down to 53 or even down to 50. Okay, see how the sellers are coming in here. Sellers coming in here. Sellers coming in here. We'll be at 55 in just a second. $55.25. Three traded down there. Okay, well, anyway, I hope that's some clarity. Very simple things you're looking at here in Bookmap. There are only 3 elements on the chart. Okay, the best bid and offer streaming over time, the volume within that context of the best bid and offer, and then also the heat map is showing you the auction of the limit or the passive orders on the bid and the offer. And that's it. Yeah, I mean, boy, I forget the guy's name, and that was in the UK in his parents' basement trading. But yeah, I saw a little clip. It was like 20 or 30 minutes long on in Bloomberg. It was excellent. Very unassuming guy, and just really understood what was going on in the markets and understood game theory of like what's moving the markets, and understood spoofing extremely well. and was able to piece that together and do really well. So guys, this was the move we're looking for, right? So it's not rocket science here. It was just order flow, okay? And understanding these sellers, the pullback, and then looking for the push through. Okay, we're down to 53. Okay, we're down to this wick here. So you candlestick guys, maybe you'd be taking some profit there. You volume profile guys are probably looking for the move to 50. Something like that. All right, Simon, you want to jump over to the NQ? Let's do it. This is something I like to look at, is like correlated markets. Okay, so the NQ versus and also the Russell versus the S&P, who's leading. Or you can even look at some of these stocks in here. Let's take a look at Apple. Well, Apple's up. Amazon, it's kind of back down to the middle of the range. Nvidia, okay, it's up, kind of moving down. And then let's look at the NASDAQ. Okay, yeah, it broke up, and then starting to see our sellers come in now. Okay, same concepts, Simon. Breakout, range, control, buyers, all over the place. This would be your distribution. Okay, sellers, buyers, sellers. And this would be your Wyckoff, distribution markup, or I'm sorry, accumulation markup, distribution markdown, or maybe continuation. But anyway, let's take a look here at this. This is getting interesting in here. Okay, so look at the buying coming in here. Right, so this is going to be a great battle to check out, and we have our European close coming up, so this is going to get interesting. I like some of the selling in here, and we see some good selling in here, but it's countered right away by some pretty good buying in here. So really, the point of contention is right here at this 50. I'm sorry, 12,540 area here. Okay, let's watch it here. Let's see if we get our buyers back up above here. Not yet. Here we go. All right, buyers, there you go. Back up to here, or maybe 50. But I would look for it here, 47.5 or so. There's the swing here, and then selling here. And let's see if we can get that. We're getting a pullback immediately. Okay, looking again for the buyers here. 50, 45. All right, so there's some. Let's see if they can move it now. 47.5, maybe 50 here. There's your move. Beautiful. Okay, so again, like, see how we kind of pointed to this area here as being like, wow, okay, well, sellers below it, buyers right back to it, and then kind of all over the place in here. However, we know that this 40 level is going to be important, and we're looking for that scenario of buyers above it here. Great, we're seeing it. All right, well, let's get back up to here, the swing, which is about 47, and then if they still have some buying pressure, we're looking for 50. Right, so made it to 50, pulled back immediately, and they come right back in again. Right, so I don't know, I kind of went through that quickly, but any questions on that? And understanding, like, who's taking control in here, and how we didn't really see control here, but we're looking for it above or below this 40 level here. I'm trying to make it really simple for you guys, but you can see it though, right? And you can look at the structure in here. We can take all of this again off of the chart and just look at structure, right? And understand, okay, so we know the structure in here. Now let's look at the context of the buyers or sellers within the structure. And that's where we really get some insight, is that context. Okay, sellers followed by buyers, and then back and forth. And it's like, okay, all right, we're looking for buyers above 40. We got them. And then we're looking for just moves back up into these swings to begin with. And there's even more buying pressure, and they came all the way back up to here, top of this top of these ranges here. Now this is another pullback. I'm again looking for buyers again back up here, move it back to 60. Okay, because they're in control now. Okay, let's see if they can move it back to 60 and then break out and then come up to high of the day here, 570 and above. Okay, we're not ready yet. Okay, sellers moving it right back down. Okay, and then now looking here again, or here, do we get our buyers? And we're not. We still get sellers. Okay, so let's see if we want to get our buyers back up again above our little 47.50 area there. So there's some. I don't like it. It's not much. We see, that's what we want. That's where you want to see the distinction here, right? That's what gave us the insight. Here we didn't like it, so we're not looking for it. In fact, the opposite, we're looking for this to fail and sellers to come back down to here. And so again, context of the volume, and then now the heat map is where we're going to get a lot deeper insight as well, by seeing like the context of the limit buy and sell orders, where they are. Okay, well, they're down here at 30 and they're also down here at 20. More questions. I think we're all kind of caught up. Cumulative volume delta, you want to take a look at? You're welcome, Simon. Yeah, we can take a look at it. I'm like, I think you guys know I'm not a big fan of indicators. I just like to read these three elements here. But sometimes it's hard, and that's where, like, you know, some of that, sometimes we look at the book and volume and balance in here to get some understanding. We can also look at the cumulative volume delta to get some understanding in here. You know, I haven't really looked in I did in the past look into some depth in here, but it always just gave so many false positives, or, you know, I just didn't trust it. But if you look for confirmation, or I'm sorry, correlation in here, or confluence with your indicator, then you can get a lot out of it. I think you have to really understand your indicators, in my opinion. You know, like, what are they doing first off? Because a lot of people just want to, you know, look at it and go, oh, it's doing it, there's divergence, it's going to do this. I've done that. I've been upended so many times by trading that way. I just don't do it. You know, but if you do see something like there's divergence, and there's a heavy bid in here, and you start to see maybe some of these swings in here, like some buying up here, maybe some buying up here again, and then you see big divergence and they can't get through some of these areas in the order book in here, you know, now you have a pretty good confluence. But we already know that's going to happen up here. You don't need to have the indicator for it. But whatever. I mean, the confluence is great. Sometimes I think what was Floyd or somebody was looking at engulfing bars in candles. Well, that's no different in kind of in my mind of like a false breakout, uh, and and then a move right back away. Right. Let's see if we can get a engulfing pattern in here on the 5-minute. Maybe we have to go to like a 3-minute. Okay, nice selling. Looks like they're going to go for the point of control. Well, we're just about there. Let's see. Yeah, candles. Oops. Okay. Almost. You don't quite get an engulfing. But you know, the concept is that a quick move down, a quick move back up, and then there's your engulfing bar here, and that would be rejection. But again, like, you know, what you'd be looking for is not just the candle pattern. What's the volume and the order flow within the candle pattern? Are they supporting it on the bid? Do you see aggressors coming in on the buy side lifting this? If you got that and you have your engulfing, now you've really got something. Okay, so again, the order flow will help confirm your candlestick patterns. If let's see, Adam, it's very simple. Here we can extrapolate this from the order book here in the Nasdaq. Above price here in the COB column, which stands for current order book, or your depth of market. These are showing your limit sell orders above price, above best bid and offer, and then or above best offer. Above best or below best bid, and including best bid is your depth on the bid. Okay, and that's it. So that's how you know if they're buyers or sellers. So these are buyers down here. Okay, they're all buyers down below. They're all sellers up above in the heat map. Okay, guys, again, you can see that pivot right in here. Okay, buyers lifting it right, starting right around in here. Well, I guess you can go down here, but anyway, yeah, we already see our pullback here to the top of this range. Okay, see the bid here. See how now we're getting something, at least in the Nasdaq. See the bid here in the reaction, buyers. Okay, all right, back up to 50, basically 47.5, 50. Let's see if now this is pretty strong. See the strong buying, again, strong buying in here. Let's see if they can get, this would be another kind of area to look at right here, just above 50, around 51, and then back up to 60, basically. And maybe we'll get a pullback here. Maybe here to about 41. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like more buyers are coming right back in. So looking for a 52 or 51. And then let's see if they can continue higher here. Pretty strong buying here. So you see how this is so much easier to read in here, especially with the order book. See the order book supporting it underneath. These are easy reads, or easier reads. You know, and you can look for managing your trades in there off of those easier reads. Again, nothing is for certain, but you know, when we can ascertain who's moving the market, we look for that to continue. Oh yeah, Adam, can this software help in identifying short squeezes and that are fake and eventually drop? We see this kind of stuff all day long in here, like below here, and then the quick shift away from that area here. This is all trapped in here, and this is a short squeeze. We even have the stops and icebergs indicator in here from the MBO data. And the red line are stop order transactions, the blue are iceberg. I don't see so many stops yet, but I'm looking for them, and they're probably up here at around 60. Yeah, we look for that kind of behavior all the time. And again, if if we don't see a lot of stops in here yet, these are new buyers coming in, then we kind of can assume that, right? Because we know they're not stops. So look for these guys in here as well. Like if they cannot continue to move the market, look for a move below there from the sellers, and then look for stops below that and a squeeze to the downside. Okay, so just yeah, know the kind of position. I mean, this adds another dimension in here. Now we are getting our stop run, as you guys can see. And we're kind of would assume that up around that 60 area here. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Adam and Bradley, about stops and how to use them, and when it's showing you something, when it's not. I mean, you can start to look at this behavior in here is like, well, these are new buyers then. Okay, so where would they be upended, right? So below. Okay, but they're still in control right now. They would be out of control when we get sellers below here. That can really start to move it as well. All right, buyers, and push and stop run. Let's see if we can get a big run here. Not much. Here's the big stop run was over here in this move here. Yeah. Yeah, okay, you want to take a look at that, Bradley? Sure. We have this not just the red line here, we have it, the indicator also includes on chart, so you can really get into the details. In fact, let's turn off icebergs for a moment. Okay, let's see if we get our big stop run up here. And again, this is another thing to look for. This is fuel here for the stop run up to here. You can already see it unfolding there. Okay, I mean, there has to be someone in here that's got it wrong, Okay, and then you can also look at another thing. We see this all the time, exactly this behavior too. Just because it's a stop run doesn't mean that it's going to pull back like this. If there are more buyers up here that'll just continue to buy, then we'll see it continue to move. But this is the way like Scott Pulcini's using it, looking at he's looking for this big event of a threshold of stops or iceberg transactions. That's the event, and then he's looking for the order flow around the event to unfold here. Okay, so that's the way he's looking at it. So let's suppose this is, I mean, in this little range in here, this is the biggest stop run here. Okay, well, we can see that it hit the stops. Okay, but there's no more real buying then. Back up in here, because that's quite a bit. And there's not a whole lot of buying up here. It's mostly stops. I believe at least 29 of the, well, I don't know how many are in here, but it looks like more than 50% at least. And then if that's the case, well, then these aren't buyers to lift it higher. It's kind of like, and in my mind, it's kind of a vacuum, because we have the move higher, and we can get the sellers that will move it back down into the middle of the range or bottom of the range in here, because it's not new buying. It's basically capitulation, and that's where we see the sellers come back in and move it, in this case. Beautiful thing in here with the stop runs, both Adam and Bradley. I mean, you can see everything. This is one of the benefits of Bookmap, how it visualizes market data in here. Okay, we have some aggregation issues in here. This is not from Bookmap. We're just identifying this for you, that there are some, we're trying to be very precise with the data in here. And that's why you're seeing these warnings in here. It's not a problem with the software. In fact, it's the opposite. We are showing you that there's a problem with the MBO data that we're receiving. Okay, and so that means, like, well, then you won't be able to trust this maybe as high as you would if there are kind of discrepancies in the data, the MBO data. Okay, so yeah, let me. I'm not seeing a really great stop run in here. We'll probably have to go to the S&P to see that. But we can see the whole thing unfold here. Okay, there we go. There's a nice one, 115. Okay, so, and we were assuming that above 60. It got quite a bit above it for that stop run. But I think we can go in here and take a look at this one. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay. So here's what unfolded, and this is, I just love going through this. I just think it's beautiful. So we have best offer. Here's our aggressor here. Okay, and we can zoom in and look at all the details. Here's our aggressor here. Move the price up, and now stops are triggered. Okay, these are all stops. Okay, we know that. It's just fact. Okay. And stops again, stops all the way through here. These are all stops. Okay, all the way up. The red line here is showing us, and then it aggregates them all together, 115. Okay, this is one single event. It is sub-second. It happened very quickly, and we know that as well because look at the best bid and offer update later. So this is one event, and it just took a few orders in here to trigger a bunch of stops. All right, so it's likely a larger player here. I would assume that because this is a big stop run, but we don't know that. All right, you'll see different stop runs. In fact, let's suppose that red line initiated here, okay, not in here, okay, up here, and then it filled 115. Okay, well, this would be the aggressors charging up through that area, hitting their, and they may be hitting stops along the way in here, but then the stops start to transact. They're in the queue as well, the aggressor queue. Okay, there is an aggressor queue as well, so it's not just in the queue in the limit order book. The person that let's say they hit the market buy button in here with pretty big size, and they move price. Okay, well, they're going to get filled first. If there are stop losses in here, they are going to get slipped, and they will start getting filled up here all the way to the top until there are no more stops left. And that's what's going to happen. In this case, I would assume that it is a larger player. Someone just kind of triggered that larger player in here for 115, and then we just see them really take it. But I'm assuming that. I don't know, because they got slipped quite a few points here with their stop loss. It's kind of a nasty move. Okay, so anyway, that would be my assumption, but we don't know. That's 115 contracts. That's correct, Adam. And you can see the entire evolution of that stop run at sub-second levels. Oh yeah, a sweep of the book, Bradley, is typically a stop run. Typically, it doesn't have to be, but it typically is. Sweep of the order book is this. Is precisely this. Okay, the aggressors came in. I mean, and the aggressors in this case are they're acting like aggressors is the stop loss order, because it's just buying by market. Okay, and they're well, they're getting filled all the way up like this. This is probably a liquidation, most likely. Okay, we have a liquidation indicator in the Binance futures and a few others. This is, again, amazing data in here. To be able to see, like, these are actual positions being liquidated in crypto markets. Okay, these are even worse than stops. This is even deeper insight than the stop runs. They're not only getting, well, they don't even have control. The sellers in here, when you see liquidations up in these areas in here, they have to buy it back, and they don't have any choice. The exchange here, Binance Futures, is just saying you're done. We are liquidating your position. You do not have margin. This is a margin call. Okay? And again, this is just fact. Right? So in the NQ, again, some of these stop runs in here, that is just fact. Now, we don't know if it's a liquidation or not, but I would assume. Okay. All right, again, buyers in here. Let's see it. Let's see it, buyers back up into 75, 74, 75. This is why I love the NASDAQ. Let's even get it to 80 as well. This is why I love the NASDAQ. It follows through typically. Whereas the S&P will be rotating probably like 3 or 4 times. Anna, no, it does not work on SPY, only for CME group futures, and you will have to have rhythmic data for the futures as well. So they're the only ones that have the market by order data. Right, so let's see it, buyers. You've got the power here. Just don't like it that they're not supporting it underneath here, but a little more nibbling, and then the cascade up into 580. Here there's a little. See how they flashed on here, but yeah, this was a little bit harder to read in here. Still looking for our buyers into 580. Bid is looking better here. Okay, beautiful move into 580. Now, guys, I know these are small moves. They don't have to be. You can sit back. You can look for the bigger picture as well. Who's in control? Pull back. Who's in control? Pull back. Who's in control? Right? You can see it on the bigger picture here too. It's the same stuff. All right, so good stuff to go. Thanks, Simon. Take a look at that NASDAQ and compared to the S&P. It's kind of refreshing to take a look at the NASDAQ. Okay, but same ideas in here. Who's in control? Pull back. Who's in control? Pull back. Right. So anyway, guys, we've been going for now over our hour and a half limit. So Tom B is already presenting over in his room. You might want to jump over there. He's going to go through volume profile in detail. Okay, so you can, if you're into that and you want more insight on order flow, you can jump over to that room and continue on for another hour and a half. Just don't forget, if you're interested in this, here, let me show you again. If you're interested in this right here, it's right on our home page. Register for the competition. It's read through it here, learn more, and we're going to have an event this afternoon to go through registering and what you get in Bookmap, etc. Yeah, you'll have to register for Tradeovate as well as for Bookmap by Sunday evening. Okay, so make sure that that happens, because a lot of you guys, we see a bunch of you have already registered for Bookmap, but you haven't registered over on Tradeovate. You have to do that. Okay, so make sure that you do that. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to play in the competition. All right. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks so much for coming. If you like what we're doing in here, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel. You'll get, first off, it helps us a lot. It helps us understand what you like, what to cover more in detail. That's what the discussions are also very helpful for. So, keep the discussions going, and subscribe to the channel so that you'll get updated on new events and whatever is going on in our streaming. Other than that, yeah, have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll catch up with you next week. Okay? Yep. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.